Hey guys, thanks so much for clicking on this video. My name is Chris. The Suicide Squad has now officially released this weekend. You can either watch it in theaters or on HBO Max in the comfort of your own home. Either way, what we're going to be doing here in this video is going into our full spoiler discussion on James Gunn's The Suicide Squad. We'll be touching upon things like the end credits scene / post credits scene of The Suicide Squad, a couple of Easter eggs you might have missed, overall my spoiler review and reaction to all the madness that was this awesome movie. But I'm also need your guys' opinions down below. What did you think of James Gunn's The Suicide Squad? Do you think it lived up to the hype? You've probably been seeing all these great positive reviews. Do you fall on the side of those reviews, or do you think, no, what, is everybody smoking something I'm not? And also, because it's a movie I really enjoyed, I'll be doing another giveaway here, guys. I have a t-shirt of King Shark. If you want to wear your very own King Shark t-shirt and win a Funko Pop of your choice, I'll let you pick who was your favorite Suicide Squad member, and I'll send you the shirt and the Funko Pop. All you have to do is like, subscribe, and comment down below that you'd like to be entered. And in 3 days from posting this video, the pinned comment will be the winner. Alright, so with James Gunn's The Suicide Squad, this movie was really a great, refreshing change of pace. Totally different than the first Suicide Squad movie. This movie just had so much flavor and passion thrown at your face. It just felt like a great fun time that was bloody and violent. But let's start off with the very top and work our way down from this movie. So the opening scene where they're rounding up the obvious B team of the Suicide Squad, made up of people like Pete Davidson's Blackguard, Mongol, Weasel, TDK. We all knew these guys would not be lasting long, but I was not anticipating most of them to be knocked off the screen so damn fast in that opening mission. But the specific mission that they were going on is in retrieval of some vital information that Amanda Waller's character is wanting from this foreign country. But right away, as the mission begins, they waste no time with killing off people, and the first one to go is Weasel, who we find out can't even swim, but the boy so confidently jumped in the water. That really set the tone for the ridiculous factor in this movie, but I really kind of like that. Of course, I kind of wanted to see Weasel go crazy and see how he would go about killing people knowing that he's killed so many children. Now, granted, he is the post-credit scene, and we find out he's not actually dead and survived that drowning. Part of me thinks the main reason for that is because James Gunn's brother, Sean Gunn, played that role, and he just definitely wants him back in future roles. But then as the team lines up here for their mission on the island, we find out that Blackguard, Pete Davidson's character, actually sold out his team and warned the military group there ahead of time that they would be showing up, hoping that it would keep him safe. I don't know what his plan was there, because he was obviously going to be killed either way, if not by this militia, but by Amanda Waller and blowing up the bombs in the back of their neck. But it was also our first taste of violence here, and I don't even know if YouTube's going to let me show it, but I'll try to get away with it. We just see Pete Davidson's face get blown up, starting off the chain of events that almost this entire team, minus Rick Flagg and Harley Quinn, do not survive. I was really curious to see who they were going to make the person to be the example of the bombs in the Nexus. That's something even David Ayer's Suicide Squad had, where the guy whose powers was using ropes was used as the example of, oh, if you betray the team, they blow up the bomb in your head. And now it makes sense that Michael Rooker's character, who was being built up as this tough guy who just wants to go into the mission, is not scared of anything. As soon as he sees the chaos in battle, he runs away, forcing them to blow up the bomb in his head. Really, if I had to pick anybody from this group I didn't want to die was probably TDK, and that's honestly just because it's Nathan Fillion. I know his superpower is very lame, but I also started laughing so hard when at a distance, while his hands are away from him and they're being shot up, he's just screaming in pain. That is just some bloody James Gunn brilliance that I loved about this movie. Oh, and actually, you know what? No, I take that back. The person I was most wanting to survive was Captain Boomerang. I can't believe they killed off Jai Courtney's Captain Boomerang. Like, I know he's a ridiculous villain, but I think those are some cool powers, and we barely got to see him use his boomerangs in this movie. So that kind of sucks that we won't be seeing him in a future Flash movie or any other scenes. But then we immediately find out that Amanda Waller had planned this out and knew that it would be hard for one team to go up against this militia, so she had set up the A team, which we now know was made up of Peacemaker's John Cena, Bloodsport, King Shark. Gotta say, I also loved all the transition scenes James Gunn did in here, and the clever way he was able to put up words in matching with the scenes. Like, I know this probably isn't the best example, but the 3 days earlier with the toilet, it's stuff that gave it a real comic book feel without going a little over the top. And then in meeting Bloodsport's character, who did not want to be part of this team, we see that they do give him his comic comic book origin that landed him in prison of creating a kryptonite bullet that sent Superman to the ICU. It's really the only thing this character is famous for, so it's kind of cool that they brought it in, even though it might piss some people off that Superman was put in the ICU by this random stranger and we never got to see it. But I did like the way Amanda Waller forced him to be part of the team with blackmailing him with the fate of his daughter's future, and even her own staff going like, damn, Amanda Waller's crazy. And Amanda Waller is crazy, man. It's her idea to put these villains bombs in their necks and make them go do missions that they would obviously die in. But as they're rounding up the team, we get a couple of Easter eggs thrown in here. Like one, we get to see physically Sean Gunn. This is James Gunn's brother who did the mocap work for Weasel, and he's playing the character of Calendar Man, a famous Batman villain who basically, as is described, a man who kills people based off days on the calendar. Amanda Waller then goes ahead and fills them in on their plan to infiltrate Jotunheim. We later do find out it is because of the villain Starro, one of the big bads of the DC universe that actually brought the Justice League together. But the movie seems to be taking inspiration from a specific Grant Morrison run of the Justice League where Starro does take over a building very similar to Jotunheim, and Batman has to go ahead and fight this as his members of the Justice League get taken over by Starro's stars. And then from there, the entirety of the movie just becomes them going on this mission, and there's a lot that happens in between here. Starting off with the journey Harley Quinn goes off on. Now, I gotta admit, I was very hesitant and thrown off by her little side story where she ends up meeting this young dictator who wants to make her his wife, as far as to where they even have coitus and whatnot. And I was like, what is going, this is kind of weird. That part of the movie was starting to lose me until, of course, it becomes what Harley Quinn is known for, going psychotic and killing off the guy once he starts talking about wanting to kill children and more of his evil plans. And this really could have gone either way with me, but I really did like the explanation that Harley Quinn gave out where she's like, look, I dated a crazy boyfriend before, and if I ever saw any red flags in future boyfriends, I would just kill them off. And it's almost like a great growth of the character and how far she's come from the Joker, because that was obviously her addressing the Joker. Heck, if you even pay attention, she mentions that the Joker killed her dogs, and well, Harley didn't really have dogs. She had hyenas, so that means the hyenas and birds of prey are officially dead, and Jared Leto's Joker killed them. Another reason to hate that man. And then from there, Harley Quinn just goes at her peak with a lot of her action scenes being very well choreographed, and Margot Robbie does do all those stunts, which I think is just fantastic. They even do a great callback to Birds of Prey where when Harley Quinn is fighting and all this blood is spewing everywhere, she doesn't really see that blood. She just sees these beautiful flowers and colors coming about, and that's almost exactly like the scene in Birds of Prey when Harley Quinn goes into the police station and she's knocking down all these police officers very brutally, but in her eyes, she just sees all the color and magic. Diving into Bloodsport now, I think we were all thinking like, oh my god, this guy is just a Will Smith replacement. Let's just see what they throw at us. And the man had an awesome suit. Like, he had so many great gadgets coming out of his suit, whether it was his gun that he can just enhance with certain attachments, or the bow and arrow, the flamethrower, especially this back and forth I'm better than you that he was having with John Cena's Peacemaker was really making the movie for me. And I guess on that subject, John Cena also really did surprise me with his role as Peacemaker, and it wasn't all about inappropriate, nasty jokes about him wanting to eat dicks, or James Gunn finding an excuse to put John Cena's bulge in IMAX 4K. That's how I saw that while eating popcorn. But I guess the scene we have to talk about that both of them were involved in is when they're wanting to best each other, they go and kill an entire village only to find out that that was actually the resistance, and they ended up killing a bunch of innocent people. I can understand that goes some way with people, and some people really hate that, and even I, when I first saw that, I was like, how could they do, what the heck? But you have to remind yourself, these are villains. These are bad guys. They kill innocent people on the daily, so even though they're right now being forced to do a mission for good because they have bombs in the back of their neck, they're still doing what villains do and killing innocent people. So you can't really be too mad about that. They're villains at the end of the day. That's a villainous thing to do. Getting to other members of the squad, King Shark, like, oh my god, I stan King Shark, man. He was absolutely one of my favorites here. I feel like we did not get enough King Shark goodness, but even just those quiet moments alone where he's looking at the fish and he just wants to have some friends and company. It might not be the big, ruthless King Shark you know from the comics, but he's still very much indestructible and super powerful. I mean, we saw how bulletproof he was in this. I'm really happy he wasn't one of the characters that ended up dying in this movie. Someone I was so sad ended up dying in the film, Polka Dot Man. That was another character they did a great job of. Like, who would have thought you could make Polka Dot Man into kind of a badass, even though he's a bit of a weirdo, having this weird thing where he only sees his mother. They did a good job of tying that into his origin story, that his mom experimented on him, so he just has this hatred for her. I kind of was feeling for the guy, and when he yelled out, "I'm a superhero," I felt it. That was one I would love to have seen in a sequel. But I'll tell you, the one I was most surprised that I was actually that broken up about when this character died, Rick Flagg. I cared absolutely zip nada for Rick Flagg in the first Suicide Squad movie with David Ayer. The dude came off like a pretentious douche who didn't even know how to lead a team. But I don't know what voodoo magic James Gunn pulled off here, because he turned him into not only a great leader, a character that I actually started to respect and really honor, just like the way he wanted to save Harley Quinn, all because it's a member of his team. And even though these guys are villains, he's like, I'm a leader, this is my squad, I have to make sure we make it out of here in one piece. It was a great paralleling moment whenever they finally get to the base and they find out that the US government was actually behind the Starro project and we're the ones trying to figure out how to abuse his powers and weaponize it. Rick Flagg wanting to get that message out to the people, while Peacemaker went ahead and made a little deal on the side with Amanda Waller to make sure that information would not get out. It fits really good in line with their characters, and it made me really hate the Peacemaker character, even though I was really starting to like him. I was so pissed off during that battle when they kill Rick Flagg. Great moments of complexity within the characters and twists and turns I was not expecting. And I guess also, like many of you, I was not expecting to like the Ratcatcher character so much. Her and her rats were absolutely adorable. Even the little twist cameo that Taika Waititi was actually Ratcatcher 1, the original, but it was her story that kind of added this emotional impact to the movie I was not expecting at all, and really made me care about this character, especially when she's trying to defeat Starro. Just the tears in her eyes of trying to make her father proud. I think it was a good call to not have her die either and live on for future movies. But our villains go ahead and become heroes for the day, saving it once and for all, and Bloodsport makes a deal with Amanda Waller that he'll make sure that the information they were guarding does not get out to the public as long as they can be free people and not have to go back to prison. That was also something that kind of drew me back, because like I said, I really ended up caring about the Rick Flag character, and he wanted that information to go public out in the world, and he died for that. But instead, certain members of the crew decide, you know what, we're just gonna make sure it's our ticket out of jail. Alright, fine, I guess that's something a villain would do. Leading to the end credits sequence where we find out during the battle that Bloodsport and Peacemaker had. We find out here that he obviously survived the incident, is gonna pull through, and as punishment for Amanda Waller's staff turning on her and hitting her because she was taking her hierarchy power a little too far and was trying to kill the Suicide Squad members for trying to stop Starro, the end credits scene is basically the setup for the Peacemaker show that'll be coming to HBO Max. I'm kind of glad we know that this show is set after the movie, because if it was a prequel show all about the origin of Peacemaker and we knew he died in this movie, I would have not been interested in it at all. But now that I know it takes place after this film, I'm really excited to see it, especially now knowing that I like the Peacemaker character a lot more. It also should let us know we shouldn't expect to see Amanda Waller in it, since it's going to be left up to these staff members to be in charge of Peacemaker into saving the effing world, as they put it. So no, John Cena's not going to be showing up in another movie. As far as we know right now, it's only for his Peacemaker show on HBO Max. In a weird way, it's kind of like how the end credits scene of Black Widow is setting up a Disney Plus show instead of another movie. But that is just my spoiler review and my ending explained for the Suicide Squad. I want to hear from you guys. What did you think of certain moments of this movie? Were you thoroughly entertained? Do you want to see James Gunn be part of the DCEU more often? And again, everything, be sure to like, subscribe, follow me on Twitter at 3C Film Review. As always, I'm Chris. Take care.